Right, we're back to doing some proper building work. Now, I've just built and replaced all the architraves around the doors and stripped down the bathroom door that was covered in white paint. But that's now on hold for a minute because I'm trying to eliminate the damages in the lath and plaster wall, which had been repaired with bloody cement. So I don't know if you can see here, but there's big bumps where the cement repairs have popped. Don't like it. And I was going to repair it, but I've now decided I'm just going to take it all down. It's going to be one hell of a mess, but hopefully it'll only be one mess. Get it all done and then reboard it. I'm going to eliminate these polystyrene ceiling tiles by just ripping them off and putting in a false ceiling because they're a bit of a fire hazard, so I'm going to do that as well. But all this lath and plaster on this wall has got to come out. Where lower down where I can, where it's not been repaired, I'm going to just scrape it down like this and paper and paint it. I have to rig up myself some temporary sort of scaffolding contraption so I don't fall down the stairs until I can hopefully reach to the top of the ceiling. And yeah, so the next time you see me, we're going to be covered in dust like a white Christmas. Well, I am part way through demolishing this lath and plaster wall on the stairwell. It's really quite awkward and it is super messy. And it isn't as bad as it looks. It's worse than it looks because I've cleared up half of it already. I've got 6 bags of rubble already. I did put up some curtaining to try to keep some of the mess out of the kitchen. Moderately effective. In the end, it's going to be worth it, I hope. But now I need to get some more rubble bags because I'm chock-a-block full. And the dump only opens tomorrow, so I can't take any of this away today, which is all the more annoying. Still, you'll be able to see I'm looking a little bit worse for wear. And I've been wearing a mask and I'm still coughing. Right, onwards and upwards. I'll show when we got a bit further. Day 2 of ripping down the walls in the stairwell. I've already spent yesterday cleaning up. Now we're back to square one again. You can have a look at my kitchen. Let's look at this. Dust everywhere, rubble everywhere. This is the stairwell. This is my self-manufactured scaffold, and you can see there's just rubble everywhere. I'm not even going to try to squeeze past the ladder. I've taken all the lath and plaster off the one side. I've got to do the other side in a minute, but I need to clear the decks first, get rid of some of this rubbish. Hopefully from then on it's going to start getting cleaner and I'll be able to board it up and plaster it, so I'll keep you posted. Good morning, back to work. You can see I'm not quite as messy today because most of the messy stuff's been done. Let's have a look at the progress in the stairwell. You can see I've stripped off all the wallpaper now. That took a while. This looks like gloss paint, which is going to give me a bit of a problem, which I need to solve. Probably need to sand it down a bit or something, prime it. If you look up there, you'll see I've done the framing for the false ceiling now. That's ready to be boarded, except that I'm going to move the light fittings before I do that. I've started putting up the first couple bits of board on this wall because that's already been insulated. And on this wall, I'm going to have to space these out a little bit because this brickwork at the bottom isn't flush with the timber frame. So what I plan to do is use the offcuts from the plasterboard, just to tack it into there and bring it out slightly. So that's all fun and games to do, but one of the other issues I have is this old timber is so hard that I keep snapping off the drywall screws, so I'm having to drill pilot holes for it. But that's going all right. I suppose I could have, if I could find some shorter screws, that might have helped. But anyway, we're making progress. So hopefully not that this long distant future we will have a functional stairwell. I'm very pleased with the way that the doors and the architraves came out. I can't remember if we had that on video before, but we'll put new architraves around the doors, stripped down this wooden door. This was painted all white, so that's been stripped down. So there's still a bit of repair work to be done on these walls. I'm not stripping all the lath and plaster off those, it's just too much. So I'm just going to repair it and probably paper over it. I don't mind if it's got the old wobble in it. It's an old cottage, so that isn't going to freak me out. So there we are, cutting plasterboard today, and probably installing some insulation in this wall if I get there. I'll keep you posted as to further progress as we go. But you never know, it might be neat and tidy next time I see you. Here's hoping. Time for update on progress in the stairwell. You remember I said that I had redone the architraves, etc. This was already being plasterboarded and plastered. But now we have ripped down, or I have ripped down, most of the walls. I'm not going to rip down the end wall there by the window. I built a false ceiling. I'm in the process of boarding that. It's all got insulation behind it. I've increased the number of light fittings going down there. A stairwell. You can see I'm actually using my painter's pole just to hold the boards in place, because this is tricky enough with one person putting up boards in a stairwell on your own, probably even more tricky. I've prefabricated myself some temporary scaffolding, because I'm going to need that when I do the plastering as well. I've been putting in repairs with proper lime plaster, repair plaster, where there's been a couple of really big holes here in the end wall. This end wall is original lime plaster, and I really don't want to rip that all there as well. I'm just sick and tired of the mess. So that we're just going to tidy up and probably paper with some lining paper. That'll get it smooth enough to look half decent. It's been a lot of work, but it is getting there. I have a few more boards to put up, and then I can tidy up and thinking about plastering. I'm not sure when the plastering is going to take place. Sorry about the filming, it's difficult to move around here, but the plastering might be delayed. I had an injury to my wrist which caused a level of paralysis, which is coming right, but whether it's up for plastering a ceiling, I'm not sure, so that's going to have to wait. But there it is, all waiting pretty much for the plastering. A few more boards to go up, and then we'll see what happens. Good morning. Not too much light in the stairwell at the moment because I haven't put the lights back up, but we have made a bit of progress. That all but one wall has been now plastered. The ceiling's been plastered. That was a bit of a disaster. My problematic wrist palsy kicked in halfway through doing the ceiling, so I had to kind of rush job it left-handed, and it's not the best job. I'll decide if I can live with it, and if not, I'm going to have to redo it, skim it again. But I also had problems with my wrist doing the wall, but it wasn't as bad, and this wall's pretty flat, not too bad. So the light fittings will go in shortly, but I'm going to decide on the ceiling whether I need to replaster it, whether I need to paper it, whatever before I do that. I fitted a new window. So it had this old horrible, in fact here it is here. That was ripped out. We put a double glazing panel in that frame. Let's see if I can persuade my neighbour to let me take down his almost definitely obsolete satellite dish, and then I'll have a view of the trees instead of a rusty piece of antiquated TV equipment out the window. I'm just waiting on my wrist to really feel better before I do the last wall, skim the last wall. I don't want any more battles with that. I've continued with working on this end wall, trying to smooth it out as much as possible. It's quite obviously not flat and level, but it'll get it good enough to paper over it, I'm pretty sure. I've repaired it with some repair plaster and some finishing plaster as well that's designed for old style buildings, so hopefully that will come right. A little bit less rubble and mess than that. So there we go. As I keep saying, progress is being made, although sometimes it doesn't feel like that. Next step will be to finish off that plastering and paper over what we need to paper and start looking at painting.